You just tuned it in. Global and worldwide. Hitting you on the one with no delay. Because it's the Fighter's Voice. The Fighter's Voice. With your fighting host, Richard Ortiz. And the formidable co-host, Mr. Cole Escovedo. Remember, every fighter has a voice.
Fresno, California. We're live here in Mad Production Studios. I'm here with my co-host with the most, the UFC veteran himself, Mr. Cole Escovedo. What's happening, Cole?
What's up, amigo?
Cole, the month of May is dedicated to all the women in boxing and in MMA, man. Combat sports, man.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. It's a good effort to have all of them. We've had one, two, three, four, six? Six people, I guess?
Yeah, six so far. And, we'd have two also on the Spanish side. And we're going to be closing with Michelle Phelps. And we also got Janet Uribe coming in, a recording artist who sings the national anthem at all the big events. And the Spanish-speaking fight fans, MMA and boxing. But, in the middle of the show, just like, you got the movie Scarface, you got the movie Godfather. They all reported to somebody. There was always someone who paved the way for all of them. You know what I mean?
Like a path blazer, trailblazer.
Exactly.
Someone that laid the pebbles first.
Exactly, like an entrepreneur. Someone that said, you know what? No doesn't mean no when you're telling me I can't do something. Enough said. Let me introduce our guest today. We have with us the president of Swanson Communication, the publicist of the one, the only Floyd Money Mayweather. Without further ado, we have Callie Swanson on the show. How we doing, Callie?
Hi, good night, good evening. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing good.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on.
To have you come on before an event, that's typical. But what you're involved in now, it's dedicated to all the women in boxing and in MMA. And you're the one who opened all the doors. It's even safe to say, I'll give you this title right here. You've paved the way for a lot of women in boxing.
Well, thanks so much for that. I appreciate the recognition. And there were some women before me in boxing, but I think I'm not so sure when I got into the sport that you'd be able to do a whole month of women in boxing and MMA back then. So it's come a long way, and I'm glad that I could be recognized for somebody that has helped a lot of women, get involved in the sport, thrive in the sport, be a part of the sport, and, just represent boxing for what it is, not just the people that work there, but also the female fighters too.
Well, it's grown since 2013, and in 2013, you were nominated in Yahoo Sports on the top 25 most powerful people in boxing. Not the most powerful women, but the most powerful people in boxing. You were nominated in 2013. And look at how it's grown since then. The doors that have been opened for women in combat sports, whether it's the personalities, the referees even, the announcers, the judges, et cetera, et cetera. So you've come a long way, and you've paved the way and opened doors for a lot of women in the sport. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm delighted that, that happened. And actually, 2013 was, it took a long time to get on that list. And I believe that year I was the only woman on that list. So I was really privileged about that. And, look, it's a lot of hard work. And I have said this in the past, and probably a little bit naively, but I never really separated myself because I was a woman. I just knew, I started in sports public relations before I even got into boxing, and I did a lot of corporate PR for sporting events and big events like the Olympics and the World Cup, and boxing was a part of that story, but it wasn't really the complete story until then. I was fortunate enough when I did start my business to get called to handle the publicity for actually Vernon Forrest. I got into boxing through Riddick Bowe. I was very young and worked for a PR agency in New York, and we were hired to help on some of his fights. And then I kind of worked with Bowe for a little while, and when he was champion, and then I went out on my own, and then slowly but surely I was getting recognized by other promoters and fighters to see if they wanted to hire me. And then Vernon Forrest was the first fighter that actually hired me to help him with all his publicity, and that was right before he fought Shane Mosley for the first time.
Right.
And I don't know if people remember this, but everybody thought Shane Mosley was going to win. He was pound for pound champ at the time. Vernon was his mandatory, so he had to fight him, and Vernon beat him. And so it was right after that things took off with him. We did a lot of great publicity for him, and then I started to be recognized by some of the other fighters like Bernard Hopkins, and that eventually then became an opportunity for me to help Floyd Mayweather. So, it's not that easy working individually with the fighters, but I was also being hired by the promoters, and I just made the best way I could in the sport at that time, taking advantage of every opportunity that came my way to show people my value and learning too, and just being a good publicist and getting to know the media and just doing what I had to do to show up, work hard, and make my way in boxing. So that's kind of how that happened. So I think by other women seeing that there was opportunity there to also excel in the sport, maybe through my success. I think that if that's what was a byproduct of my success, then I'm glad that happened.
Well, you definitely opened doors, and you covered. My question was going to be, how did you get your first break? But you shared with us you started working with Riddick Bowe. When did you start Swanson Communication? When was that founded, and why was it put together?
I founded Swanson Communications in 1997, and that was a result of I was working for a PR agency for about 8 years, and that was during the time of Riddick's career, particularly when he became champ, which was 1992, 93.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in boxing until 96, I believe. And then I found myself wondering what I was going to do, because it's an awfully exciting. I was very young then, and it was very exciting to be connected to the heavyweight champion of the world. We did a world tour. We met the Pope. We met Nelson Mandela. I mean, Riddick was a really big presence, and his manager, Rock Newman, made sure that he took full advantage of being the heavyweight champ of the world. And so coming off of that experience, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and so I just thought about it a little bit, and then I said, well, I could just open up by myself. I had a little money in the bank, and, it's kind of like, let me be an independent contractor, but I wanted to have a company, and I named my company after my last name, and I just kind of sat there and thought, okay, what's going to be my next move? And I did do work outside of boxing. It was never my intention to just be a boxing publicist, but fortunately for me, I started to get hired by some of the biggest names and promoters in the sport. So one thing led to another, and then I just became really busy with boxing and, handling a lot of the pay-per-view fights, because pay-per-view became a bigger deal than it was. And so that's kind of how that developed into having the opportunity that it had in boxing itself. But, we do a lot. We do other combat sports. Like my other client is bare knuckle boxing, David Feldman. He does a great job. And fortunately for me, he's given us the opportunity to be his agency of record too. And then, we've done other events outside of boxing because I believe that I'm a really good publicist. I believe my theory and my practice is really good, and we can apply that to any sport. We do work with a lot of NFL football players, a couple of basketball players. So I've just been able to take advantage of the opportunities that I've been afforded, and, based on the size of my company, because it's not that big, just do the work that we can do based on my size, and then look for other opportunities too. And, even in this COVID situation, I've gotten a call, for example, from a women's hockey team. So tomorrow I have a big call talking to them about possibly helping them with publicity. And that's like not nowhere near what the boxing world is, but it's still an opportunity to work in sports and help women. So
absolutely,
I'm looking forward to that too.
I mean, you look forward to any challenge that's out there, and you're giving clients, athletes, a great opportunity. I want to ask you this, and I'm sure you've had this question thrown your way. What's it like working with these phenomenal world premier athletes?
Oh, it's so exciting. I always look and think, well, they are the best at what they do. I don't believe any professional athlete isn't good. I always tell people when they say, oh, so-and-so, he's not as good as this guy, or he, they use the S word like sucks. Fans get into it. And that includes my own brothers and my nephews and, arguing about the Buffalo Bills, which is where I'm from. And, my friends will say, oh, they're not that good. And I just think to myself, any professional athlete is really good.
Yeah.
Hands down, they're excellent. So I always look at the excellence factor, and I feel like really fortunate that I get to work with these athletes that have done so much to be as good as they are. And, of course, we all know my relationship with Floyd Mayweather. And, when I worked with Floyd throughout 15 years of his career, his hard work and dedication only made me work harder.
Right,
because I could associate myself with trying to be the best publicist there was in boxing, and I had good competition. I love the other publicists in boxing. I've known them for a long time, and I respect their work. But I noticed that, some of them were doing really great things, and that would only challenge me to do really good things for my clients too. So, and which I believe is what athletes are all about. They want to be the best at what they do. So it was only just a reflection of how you can open up the doors and the possibilities to be the best at what you do based on your knowledge and your hard work. And I've sacrificed a lot in a good way, not in a woe is me type of way, but in a really good way to have the career that I've had, because I have had to wake up. I was just telling somebody, this is COVID, and although we're doing a little work and anticipating the restart of boxing, which we're really looking forward to, it's like the first time I haven't worked since I was 15 years old. So it's a little bit of a gift, although I miss boxing a lot. I can't wait till we get back. But
well, you're not alone. Cole, can you imagine if you had a publicist like Callie Swanson early in your MMA, UFC career? What would you do with her? Where do you see Cole Escovedo today had she been in your corner?
Man, probably in a bigger house. No, I see that with the type of work she does and as passionate as she is about it, it seems like she would have been at the forefront of getting, young fighters paid correctly, compensated correctly, taken care of outside of the ring. Like, hey, here's some money management skills. Here's how much you need to be putting aside. Or here, I know some managers that'll hold it for you and be like, we'll hold it for you. We'll just divvy it out X amount every couple of weeks for you. That way you don't blow all your fight purse. Someone to look out for you.
I mean, well, she's definitely somebody you want on your side, man. And I know you had a question you wanted to address and you wanted to ask her, and has something to do with these fighters and how she chooses them. I'll let you go ahead and follow up on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there like a criteria she particularly has? Do you have you have to have X amount of pro fights, you have to have X amount of years or experience with other boxing trainers, maybe perhaps, because it's hard to say experience with certain promoters, because you'll take anybody that's qualified to do the job correctly and profitably. But do you have like a trainer preference, a trainer requirement, people you prefer to work with?
No.
They all have money.
Take it. I mean, in the beginning, you can't, beggars can't be choosers. I was just building my career, and so I helped. My career's always been two kind of separate paths. One has been through the promoter, and then two has been through the fighter or the athlete, right?
Gotcha.
So let's just stick on boxing. The promoter would hire myself and my agency to help promote a fight. And within that, within the promotion of the fight, it was our job to get publicity for the fighters. But sometimes fighters have come and hired us directly to help them promote their careers. Those tend to be the guys that either need it, like a Floyd Mayweather. Once he became as big as he did, he needed
proper
outside
management,
help to be able to just not only help promote him, like people always say, oh, Floyd, that must have been easy. He was so, he's the champ this and the champ that, but nothing's easy, and it doesn't come. You have to go out and sell it no matter
you have to
what,
grow the brand.
because there's so many people competing for that, like, cover story or what have you. So, so there was the management of his career, not only just from the interviews that were coming in as requests, but also figuring out strategically where we wanted his face to be seen. Mm-hmm. But then there's some kid that was 4-0 whose, dad was really dedicated to seeing his career take off and wanted to make sure that he had support because they believed that he was going to be somebody, and so they started early and worked their way up. So, there were some prospects that one of the big things was to get in the Ring Magazine Prospect of the Year, and so taking those in too was not a problem. I never really had a criteria. I think as I got older and more experienced, I just didn't want to work with any knuckleheads. And so if you showed me that you were dedicated to doing the interviews and when you weren't going to blow them off after I went out of my way to set them up, then no problem. I didn't really care who you were, how where you were in the career, who you were working with. I never really judged it because I just thought I could help anybody.
Yeah, as long as they showed up. I can
find out what the story is and then figure out the best way to sell the story. But if you stop showing up for your interviews and you stop doing things, I definitely wasn't interested in your money.
Well, yeah, because it's wasting your time, it's wasting your effort, your energy, your connections.
And my reputation.
Exactly,
you have to, if you tell a media person this guy's going to show up and do his interview and he doesn't do it, then that's on you. Mm-hmm. They don't look at him and say, where is he? They look at you and say, you didn't get the job done.
Yeah.
No, big time. Exactly. Now, here's the golden question. What do you expect once boxing opens up its gates and takes that first event? And we know there's probably not going to be anybody in the crowd because for safety reasons. How do you see it being successful? What are you expecting?
Well, I know that, just by reading about what the promoters are saying, everybody's hoping for the best. And, fortunately for boxing, thanks in a lot, he is my client, but thanks in a great deal to Al Heyman. Yep. And the PBC, but really Al Heyman was the one that paved the way to get boxing back on television on the regular network TV. And his, deal with Fox Sports really helps a lot as far as having outlets and opportunities for the regular fan to be able to watch the sport free of charge because they have Fox already. That goes with ESPN too. So I think we're in a really good position to be able to figure out a way to make it solid enough so that we can have boxing.
How's it looking?
Now, whether or not you got to sacrifice a little bit to at least get it up and going again, because, who wants to fight without fans? Who wants to be a part of an event without fans? The fans make it such a big, exciting event. And you guys know as well as I do, you go to a weigh-in at boxing for a big fight, and there's tons of fans cheering on the guy who's weighing in. Yeah. So what does that look like? But I think we're in the same position that all the other sports are, that you look to find a way. You deal with it to the best of your ability until, they figure out that people are safe to return to the arenas and be able to watch the events live.
Well, I know
but
the
I think
UFC's
one of the good
testing
things is boxing is run by a lot of really smart people and networks and people, again, as I mentioned, Fox, ESPN, Showtime, everybody is very, very good at what they do. And I'm sure they're working hard right now to figure out how to make it work and take advantage of the situation for what it is.
Callie, I just had a question come in right now. It's coming from a promoter in California, Toscano Boxing Promotions, and they're asking you, what advice do you have for the small promoters that are not the top ranks, the Golden Boys, the Matchroom Boxing, PVC? What advice do you have for the small promoters?
Is that it during this time
yes.
now?
Yes.
Because of COVID?
Okay. Yes, both this time and when it's in main flow. Any advice for them?
Well, not that I've thought this through, but I believe for the smaller promoters during COVID, I would try to save your money and hold on until it becomes a little bit more clear what this really looks like. And I believe that with time, there's going to be more testing, there's going to be more safety nets to be able to have events, because the smaller promoters don't really have the TV contracts, so they need the ticket sales. Yeah. You know, they need to be able to pay those bills, and nobody wants to go broke. So I don't know. They're in a tough position, and it's not like they haven't been in a tough position in boxing, because I know, for example, for some of the smaller shows, the promoters work really hard. I give those guys a lot of credit, because boxing is not that easy to make money from when you don't have those bigger opportunities and deals like the television to support you. So the guys on the ground, I call them the promoters. They're like the guys on the ground helping the younger fighters move a fighter. That's all you hear from managers. Oh, we just got to keep him moving until we get him in a position to be able to start making some money. So if a local promoter is running consistent shows and they have a loyal following and the people are willing to buy their tickets, then great. But it's a tough business. That's kind of my advice.
Yeah.
It's a tough business, and you got to really, at that level, I think it's a lot of gratitude and hard work. But I don't know for COVID, for example, and the situation we're in now. If I was them, I would probably hold. I wouldn't be too anxious to get back out there, and I would, give it some more breathing room, and probably watch what the bigger promoters end up doing as far as, what that boxing event looks like when they do come back, and then take a cue from them. And maybe if I was the other thing, now this is my PR head, but if I was a local guy and I found out that the bigger guys were going to be doing events in the area where they're located, I would really push to reach out to the bigger guy and say, I'm in a tough spot here. I'm not making any money because I can't run shows because I don't have the public. So is there any way that I could get some work from you in the time being? And see if, one hand helps the other. And, even though it's probably not ideally what they want to do, but it could also mean a nice opportunity for them.
Right.
To, develop a relationship with a bigger promoter who might not even know that they're there.
You know what? That is great advice. I mean, last week we had a promoter on the show, Cole, and that's the answer. That's the answer. Maybe not be the answer they wanted to hear, but that's the answer they're looking for and need to be aware of, and the smartest answer at this time. What's your take on that? Knowing that we just had a promoter on 2 weeks ago, and they were asking that question. They basically made a statement, I need a live audience in the crowd.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best scenario. I mean, you got to kind of sit back and watch, see who does what the numbers are like. But like I said, there was a promoter the other day we were talking about Arizona, the Arizona's opening back up along with Florida to say, hey, we want to start throwing live combat sports or sporting events in general, I think, for pros. If you don't have a TV deal, though, that doesn't really change too much of the field. So you just got to kind of go with, this is what it is right now. It's not the perfect scenario, but it's how we get going forward again. We got to start building some traction, get the sports going again, get the fans. Sometimes you got to work without fans, which sucks, but it's kind of the unfortunate dilemma we're at. If you can run a show and you have no audience, it's not ideal. For sure, it's definitely not ideal at all.
Those guys can't do that because they don't have TV. So
unfortunately,
why bother?
Yeah, like UFC is going to be the only one I think that's going to be able to take part of Arizona's that, and anybody who has like a pay-per-view deal maybe in place. But that's like the big guys with Fox maybe.
Yeah,
Fox, ESPN.
Some of the big heads that they could afford to make that move.
Yeah.
Callie, how excited, how agitated are the fighters getting? I know they want to get back in there. And I know there's been some dates that have been thrown to some different networks because a lot of fighters are now putting in the work, and a lot of them have stayed in shape. I mean, I'm sure your phone is just blowing up. Hey, have you heard anything? What should I do? I'm ready to go. What can you do for me? I mean, how often does that happen in your life?
Yeah, I'm not
Especially
really
now.
The person they're calling right now because I don't have any clout as far as what shows they're going to run, what fighters. They're probably talking to a lot. I'm the PR person, so I usually kick in when a show is announced, and we start with a press conference and then help the fighters promote that they're on the show. But I think that that's more of a managerial shot to the promoter. So I'm not that privy. What I have been noticing, though, just by following the social media and talking to a couple of them on the phone, is like they're not really waiting for places to open, and gyms are getting more and more crowded, which I'm not too happy about, because I don't want them to get COVID and get sick. But you know, they're hard. It's hard not to. It's hard not to, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, I live in Brooklyn, New York. The cases are really high in New York City, and I'm getting antsy.
Oh yeah, it's huge. So many millions of people condensed into so small a square footage that was unfortunate.
Yeah, the risk becomes higher.
Yeah, I mean, boxing gyms, they're sweating, they're breathing, they're working out, they're touching the same bags. They got to be careful.
Yep,
they're very careful.
But they're rare to go. I mean, that's what they love to do.
Callie,
what fighter isn't like dying to have a fight? So
exactly, it's like keeping a tiger locked up. You got to let it go.
Exactly.
Callie, I know you're pacing back and forth because you love this. I mean, you're passionate about it. I mean, how ready are you ready to go?
I'm getting pretty ready to go. I was telling a friend of mine, I never thought I'd say this as soon as I am, but I miss it. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing for so long. And, you know, it's a lot different when you, I'd say this past year, 50% of my year is on the road. So that's another difference, is like we're not traveling anywhere. And we just kind of stopped, you know, like nobody really was ready for this. Like we maybe could have been ready, because we promoted the March 7th show at the Barclays Center with Kawanaki. And there was another show scheduled for Maryland the next weekend.
Yeah.
And halfway to that show, it got canceled because things started getting canceled. So nobody really had time to say, okay, guess what? Boxing's going to stop now for the next 3 months, 4 months, however long it's going to take. So goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you on the backside. Everybody just stopped, right? Everything started closing. Everybody had to stay in home, shelter in place. And so it was kind of a shock to your system. And I think now everybody's starting to get used to the new normal until something else is developed that, you know, I mean, if it's based on science, we got to wait till the vaccine comes, right? But there'll be other ways in place to be able to manage our lives as we know them. But in the meantime, I would like to be able to see the sport that I love back in the ring. So yes, I'm getting very anxious myself to, you know, be able to say, oh, I can't wait. What's the first fight we get to work on? I'm looking forward to watching them fight. I don't need the fans. I can watch two guys in the ring because I know what I'm watching.
You know, that's just coming off one of the biggest events in Las Vegas in the heavyweight division. The last time I saw you was at the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury, that whole press week, and you were just coming off that, and to all of a sudden start heading and put everything on pause because juices were flowing. Everybody was ready to go. There was big events getting ready to be named and other big fights to take place. How was it for you personally? I mean, you shared it right now. You're ready to go. But during that time when you got the news to say, hey, Callie, you got to put your brakes on. How tough was that for you?
I just think I felt more it was a worldwide thing that was happening. So I didn't really, I felt like, oh, I can't believe we have to put the brakes on. But I also was much more aware of the global picture that was happening, and this virus was starting to affect everybody's lives. And I really did turn a little bit away from the urgency of boxing and the sport that I love to, like, is everybody going to be okay? And so the phenomenon behind this virus infiltrating the whole global world and population, and really watching what was happening as it was slowly but surely moving into the United States, I was more probably fascinated and concerned about that. But now, as it's becoming to kind of, I don't want to say relax into it, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't care if I get sick. I don't care if the virus, I don't believe it's there. I mean, I listen to these people and I just find it fascinating that they don't believe this, but I believe it. And so I think the safety I'm willing to, I'm willing to be patient, not because I don't want to be greedy about going back to boxing. Like, that's in the big picture here. Yeah, we all want to get back. We all want to make money. We all want to make sure the fighters keep going and their careers are solid. I have such compassion for the guys that were 10-0 and 15-0, and this whole thing could change the trajectory of their careers. So I feel empathy for everybody, not just boxing, but the whole world, because everything had to shift. So I think after the initial shock, I probably was more in a state of shock that it was even happening. And we were watching the news. It was kind of like I was in New York when 9/11 happened. And it was a very similar experience. It was like, is this really happening? Are we really staying inside our houses because there's a virus out there? And but now, as I think we're all trying to figure out what it's going to look like as we head into the summer, and trying to get things back. I was really happy this week. There was more talk about sports than there has been since it started.
Tons of talk.
You know, but the Belmont announced, the horse racing announced they're going to be back in June. What was the other one that said they're coming back now too?
I,
I mean,
Georgia was going to reopen for like pro sports, or somebody was opening for pro teams to start practice. Like they said,
NASCAR ran last weekend in Darlington, and they did it. And, you know, so it's good to see that it's coming back, because that gives me faith and strength that the boxing world can come back too.
Exactly. And I know personally, when it has nothing to do with boxing, just Cali being Cali, so to speak, you can't wait for football season because you are a Buffalo Bill fanatic.
Exactly.
I've never seen you so active on social media when that happens. I mean, we're talking about play-by-play. Mm-hmm. We could talk about boxing, and she'll put that hat on. She'll be a professional. She's careful at what she puts out. But when it comes to her Buffalo Bills, she takes the hat off. She has her glass of wine, and she doesn't care.
She tells you exactly how she feels about it.
Exactly. If we were to have her on the show during that time, it would go from PG-13 rated to
podcast level,
the Kick-Ass Podcast, easily.
Easily. We were almost there this year, but I think we're going to have a great year this year. And yes, I love my Buffalo Bills, tried and true. So I don't know. That's a whole nother story too. Is the NFL going to have fans? We'll see by September. I think everybody just has to not anticipate what could be and wait and see what is.
And just
right? Because if we can get fans back in arenas safely, why not have them?
Yeah,
I know they'll come back. I know they'll want to come back. You know, some people might be like, "No, I'm not going in there. Too many people." But did you see the footage from the show in Nicaragua?
No,
there was a boxing match in Nicaragua, and they had fans in there, and they had thermometer takers, the temperature takers at the door. They had them wiping their feet off. There was
Cambodia did the same thing with
containers where they had to wipe the bottom of their shoes off. They sat them every 6 feet, and the bleachers. It was a small show, but it worked, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see how they made that happen. Now, I haven't heard anything about whether or not people got sick, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. And, that's the blueprint. I got to ask you this. How serious is Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd, and Conor McGregor happening? Do you think that'll take place?
What is this? This was some more back and forth banter about Oscar fighting Conor?
Yeah, exactly. I just want to know what your take is. That question's coming in from Madera, California by Joe Valero.
You know what, Joe? I'm so sorry, but one of the nice things about COVID right now is I'm not paying attention to that bottom feeder messaging of boxing. I don't believe any of that. I don't really know the backstory to that, so I'd have to read up on it.
So you think it's like
I have been taking a break
Inquirer hype.
from all of the rumors, and if it's not about real boxing and the state of our sport, I'm not really interested right now.
It's an entertainment piece at best. It's a novelty thing at best.
So you got your filter on. You're only taking in the news that makes sense. And that doesn't make sense, according to Callie Swanson. It's not even going to take place.
Well, I'm talking to the business people in boxing right now to make sure that my career and my future is secured. Like, that's very important. I have staff.
Right.
I want to make sure that we are, what it looks like for my company.
Yeah, you want to come out on
that's
it
a
with a
bigger
company.
picture for me right now. I haven't really had time, because I'm checking up more on my family and my friends to make sure they're okay. So everything it's one thing when you're rolling and boxing and doing all these shows, and you just can't help but be part of the flow of information, good or bad or indifferent. But some of that other stuff, I really have not that I've ever really paid attention to it, because people will call me all the time and say, hey, I heard this, I heard that. Most of the time, none of it's true. So
how have you embraced it, besides spending time with the family? How have you embraced it and made it positive in your life, Callie?
Oh, I've lost about 7 pounds.
Congratulations. I need to get on that diet.
I've been eating better because I haven't been on the road eating a bunch of food that I shouldn't be eating. Yeah. And I've been cooking more. I've been reading more. I've been talking to my family and friends a lot more. And just trying to stay positive, which some days are better than others. But I just, I know we'll get through this, and I know whatever it's going to look like, I'm going to make the best of it. But I'm really looking forward to, getting back to work and helping the sport itself do the best that it can, however that might look like when we at least can get back into the ring.
Are you guys gonna? Do you guys think any of the promotions that you're working in right now want to tackle Arizona, or do they want to sit back and wait and see who takes the first step on that? Do you guys want to just get in there?
Again, it's not really up to me to follow the lead of my client, but I don't think there's that much urgency to be
first in line for that show.
I don't know what's happening in Arizona. I don't even know this. I'm so terrible, you guys. I should be more prepared.
Arizona,
you're doing great.
Yeah, Arizona is just going the way of Florida, and they're saying, look, we'll hold pro combat sports. So they're basically saying, we'll hold it if you want to do it with precautions like they did in Florida with no audience. They're saying, we're open for that. We'll work with you and try to get you guys putting shows on. So Arizona, I know, is a state that's promoters right now, especially in MMA at least, are looking at, because they're like, dude, we can hold shows.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah.
That's more of a manager tells you kind of thing.
One piece of advice I'll give all your listeners is that the greatest gift I gave myself was listening to most of my clients say, Callie, stay in your lane. And I am a good publicist, and I do public relations and other things that don't involve me. I stay away from. I don't try to get the information in advance. I don't try to dig for it. I wait for the call to come in to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. And they know that I'm good for my job and good for my part of the promotion, and it's always helped me to just do that. So I'm looking forward to hearing, just as much as you guys are, what the next steps are.
Yeah. She's Money in the Bank. It's automatic.
Yeah, it's
like when Michael Jordan hits that shot at the buzzer, it's Money in the Bank.
We've signed the fight. Okay, we need it put out there now. We need it.
Exactly. Don't worry about Callie. We'll hit her up when we're ready to go. The rest is going to get done. The rest is going to get done.
Exactly.
It's going to get done. Callie, before I let you go, what advice do you have for all the listeners and all the followers who have been anxious for boxing? I know you said stay in your lane and be patient, but what would you tell them to be entertained? How would they entertain themselves, with the exception of watching reruns of boxing?
Oh, I think if they know the fighters' social media pages, they're having fun on their pages, especially the ones that are more active than the others. But I think even some of the ones that weren't that active are out there a little bit. Respond to them. Even on your own pages, if you give a shout out to your favorite fighter, go ahead and give it. They'll probably notice it because they're not doing that much either. Yeah. Like, reach out to them, let them know that you miss them.
Yeah, appreciate
just do whatever you can to let the fighters know that they're missed, and we can't wait till they come back. And I think that'll make them feel good, and will make the fans feel good. And then, before we know it, we'll be back in the ring. So, yeah, be active, take advantage of the opportunities that these fighters have always afforded you by being out there and fighting. Now give it back to them.
Yeah, and that's good use too when things go back to, I don't know, everyone keeps saying back to normal, but when things start moving forward again, that's good self-branding to have, to use with a promoter. Say, hey, I'd like to be first in line on that card. Well, look at this. I have 5,000 followers, 70% of them were like, dude, can't wait to see you fight. Can't wait to see you fight. Looking forward to it. So that's opportunity where you should be interacting with your fans.
Yeah, be a part of it, be an impact.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, in case I forget, don't forget to let Tim Smith know that I said hello. I mean, he was a professional. He is a professional. When he was on the show, I got to meet him at the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury promotion during that whole week. Nice guy, man. Very nice guy. I appreciate that contact you set me up with.
You said hello.
Yeah. And when I see you in Vegas, I know you're always tied up, you're always on the grind, but I got to pull you aside. I got to get I got to turn into a fan for a second and get my picture with you. With the most powerful woman in boxing, definitely.
Oh, anything you need, Richard, you let me know.
Anything, Rich. Front row seats at the MGM.
Publicist for the Fighter's Voice. How does that sound, Callie?
Oh yeah, definitely. I see your success. You're doing a great job. So when the time is right, we can talk.
It sounds good. Hey, enough said. Hey, we're going to let you go now, and it's been an honor and privilege. And let's not forget, totally all women month of May. I almost said month of Mayweather. I was going to throw that in as a joke, but I didn't want to.
That'd
right?
be nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a PR person's dream right there. So
there
you just did a PR move.
There you go. So I may put that on there in case you missed the show, maybe promote it that way. But no, it's been a privilege and an honor. I'm going to let you go and enjoy that glass of wine.
Oh.
Thank you for taking the time and talking to us.
No problem.
And
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And just to let you know, your quarterback is from Fireball. That's 25 minutes away from where I live. So just so you know, that's his hometown.
Well, he's a good one. I think he's going to take us all the way this year.
Hey, you heard it from the powerful woman in boxing, the most powerful woman in boxing, Callie Swanson. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Bye, Cal.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Class act and down to earth, Cole Escobedo. Class act and down to earth.
She's got that whole like she said over time, like it's like fighters, other managers, promoters stuff. The whole stay in your lane thing. Like at first, it's other promoters and fighters stuff. They'll tell you that because they're like, look, you're really really good at this right here. Don't veer too far because you're veering into stuff that you're losing your strength. So she knows exactly where she's strong and solid.
She doesn't let pride or ego get in the way.
No, and that's why she's...
As if to say, now, can she manage? You bet your ass she probably can. Or
does she want the headache?
Yeah, exactly. Just stay in your lane. Do what you do best.
Yeah, and plus it's probably less headaches. It's something she has more control over. Like with managing, okay, for example, I've shown up to weigh-ins and like the night before weigh-ins, I managed to find some KFC. Drove Pop nuts. Like
strawberries?
No, KFC. Like I found some fried chicken. It was the night before I was fighting the guy.
Before the weigh-in?
Yeah, the night before the weigh-ins, and I found some fried chicken in the fridge.
It couldn't wait
that
till
I was so underweight,
after?
And I was so hungry, and I'm like,
okay.
dude, this will be fine. I came into weigh-ins, I think like half a pound over or a pound or two over. It was something ridiculous. I was like, what the hell? He's like, what did you eat last night? And I was like, dude, I messed up, bro. I had some KFC. It was in the fridge. I was so hungry, bro. I pulled the skin off, though, and he was like, you idiot, dude. I was like, yeah. And he was like, dude,
that don't even sound right.
Suit up, bro. He's like,
that don't even sound right.
Nah, I know, man. KFC will do it to you every time, bro.
It will.
It was a lot.
Did you get the mashed potatoes and gravy, too? Wait, hold on a second.
Might've.
That's a big plug for KFC, man. I mean, hey.
Okay. I found some fried chicken. Crap.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It
Fast
was
way from Madera.
It was dead bird. But I, so being a manager is, I mean, you show up and you can't find your fighter.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was a point to where, like, they'd be like, dude, I'm not chasing you down in Japan. You either be there for practice or you're on your own, bro. I'm not chasing you down.
Bro, you don't know how many times personally, I mean, Richard Goodman called me and he said, hey, is that fighter around? Or do you have his phone number that I'm supposed to be on hit the scale? And we were, Richard remembers that conversation. He's called me a couple times because I know that fighter personally. And I've said, hey, man, I don't know. I'm at work. And then I would put in a call, hey, where's so-and-so at, bro? Because they're calling him.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, everybody's looking for him, man.
Speaking of looking for.
You should have went to KFC.
Should have went to KFC. Speaking of looking for, we were looking forward to hearing some news from Goodman and something. Yeah. And I said, I got a buddy who says King of the Cage guy was looking at a fight being approached by Valor. So that tells me that there's wheels moving.
Exactly, because Goodman has been active on social media. What's happening, Richard? Ken Shamrock has been very active, which I got his story and I shared as well.
They did a big new thing.
But he also wants to get in the mix, of the Mike Tyson mix, and he called out Mike Tyson, said, I would love to share the ring with you. Well, he didn't say the ring. He said, I would love to fight you. Exhibition. But he's wanted Mike Tyson since forever, though. Even when he was the baddest man on the planet, both of them. So
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a weird one. I would if somebody came up to me and said, Cole, $100, Tyson or Shamrock, I'd be like, is it MMA? Probably still Tyson, but even in boxing, 100%. But in MMA, Ken's obviously got massive more ability and experience. But I don't know, dude. Tyson looks like he'd hit you and kill you. So
a lot of people have different responses to that. But I'm not going to test. So if a shark's swimming in the water and they said he's tamed, I'm not going to test that shark. I'm going to leave it alone. When there's a sleeping giant, you let him sleep.
I mean, you live once. Would you pass up the opportunity to say you pet like it's like the last of its kind shark or something? And like,
I'm not touching the shark.
It's gonna die tomorrow, bro. You gotta pet it today. It's gonna die tomorrow.
Okay, I can die tomorrow. I'm not touching that shark.
I don't know. Somebody could run a red light and kill me, so I'd probably pet the shark. Like, I could be doing everything right, and somebody could blow a red light and kill me, so I'd probably pet the shark.
Okay. Well, I know a couple sharks that you can pet, and that's probably.
I ain't petting Rich.
Huh?
I'm not petting Regan. I'm not petting Rick.
Oh no. Okay. Well, no. I'm talking about Andy Vincent, South Tiburon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not petting anyone.
I mean, you could touch him, but you're not petting him, man.
I'm not petting anyone, bro. I'm not falling for that one. I'm not petting no one.
No, but hey, let's talk about UFC, man. I mean, they're tested the waters. Everything seems to go very well.
It has been going well.
You have your people sitting back, and of course, America and the world we live in is opinionated.
It is, and it's. I mean, no. Okay, so the thing with UFC doing shows again, and the measures they're taking, everything. You see all these people. Well, not all these people, but you see there's a good chunk of people going, "Oh, they shouldn't be doing it. It's too dangerous." Blah blah blah. Those, in my mind, are the same people that goes, I don't like who that person is as president, so I hope they fail. Okay. Well, why do you want them to fail? Like, I know you don't like it, I know you don't agree with it, but if they fail, we all suffer. So why do you want the UFC's attempts to fail when they're trying to do this? Because as MMA community, as the fan, as followers, as employees within the MMA community, those guys lose out. They suffer, and they had no dog in the fight, no pony, no nothing at all. But they're suffering because people want to sit there and go, oh, they shouldn't be doing shows. That's stupid. Then don't watch.
There was somebody on social media which got my attention in a negative way. When somebody tested positive, actually it was Sosa.
Yeah, about Jacare.
I'm not going to say his name. And he was like, he made a comment, and I'm thinking, why would you even do that? We're talking about a disease that is taking lives, and you're going to... Oh, man. So I lost respect there in that way because we're talking about all you noticed was it wasn't your sport or it wasn't your fighter or your event. Either way, you do not make a statement, bonehead, unprofessional statement that way. I don't even want to talk about them. But nevertheless.
But it goes to show their capability of the infrastructure. Like the UFC was on it. Yes. Like they were, boom.
Absolutely.
You tested negative. We need to isolate you now.
Exactly. But his opponent who didn't test negative got paid.
Exactly.
They took care of him.
Well, yeah. He showed up and did his job, made weight. Really, at that point, what they do, like I've had fights before the morning of, they call me and say, hey, your dude's blood came back dirty, fights off, but I made weight, so I get paid.
Show up to see me succeed. Don't show up to see me fail.
Yeah.
If you spy on me, you'll catch me doing it right.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you should be watching, and I know this is contradictory to where I've said all before, is that the market's flooded. There's too much content. It's going to people are going to lose interest. Yeah. Right now, the UFC is pumping out as much content as they can, and they should be. Because the more content they can get out, the more chances their fan base has to watch it, especially if they're bouncing back and forth from Florida.
They got a new fan base.
Arizona.
I know guys that are boxing writers that have their own media outlet, heavy into boxing. They were watching the fights. Now, a lot of them said, man, it's hard for me to do. I'll probably go back and watch the main event. Nevertheless, they just want to see live, breathing, real, 100% combat sport. Yeah.
We've all been doing the same crap for the last 2 months. It's like, hold on, we get to see fresh fights?
Yeah.
I don't even watch baseball, and I'd watch baseball. I'd be like, there's a baseball game on tonight? What channel? Yeah. Where do I stream that crap? Like, I would watch just because...
This doesn't take delayed. It's right now.
This is live. And it's like somebody the other day, I was playing poker.
And you're like, please hit somebody so he can rush the mound. Let me see the pitcher and the batter go at it.
Well, because I don't have regular TV. Like, I got rid of my cable. I'd use everything streamed. Netflix, Divi, DZ, all that stuff. I use the streams. I was playing poker with a dude online, and he said something about Monday Night Football, and it was Monday. Yeah. And I was like, shut up, who's playing? Are they doing an exhibition game? I had like a brain fart, and he was like, oh, no, replay. Like two of us got excited. Yeah. And they were like, what do you mean Monday Night Football? So I don't even watch some of the other mainstream sports, but I would because it's new, and it's new entertainment, it's new sports, but B, I'm going to watch, even if I don't like it. Hell, I'd watch NASCAR. Like, them cars go boom, boom, boom. I'd watch just because it's supporting those who are doing it right then and there. They're now getting to do their craft again. Yeah. I would watch and leave the TV on and listen to it while I did dishes. I wouldn't even watch if I don't like it, just to hear it and give it a viewer number for the whole program, just so they can look at it and go, dude, our numbers was awesome. Next week we're throwing another race. Next week we're throwing another game. Because next week that team gets to play. That team gets to play. Those guys get to fight.
One live event is going to open the door for other live events. And the blueprint is there.
The hope. The hope is that it gets done and that there's no speed bump trip ups. I don't want to see some card or some sporting event or something happen and then all of a sudden they're like, everybody on the card got sick. Crap, that would be a nightmare. And you don't say they're like, oh yeah, that should happen. It'll teach them. Why, bro? Like that's like hoping for a wreck when you watch racing. Why, dude? Someone's going to get hurt.
Well, I mean, when people record fights and instead of breaking it up, they're holding their phones there. I don't get all that stuff.
I'm okay now. See, that's a debatable gray area topic because here's the thing. I'm one of the people who go, dude, don't sit there and watch somebody get beat on. But number two, I've also seen people try to break up fights and get stabbed and shot. So it's a very, very, like if I saw that scenario and I had my kids with me or something,
I'd just get away
I'm backing them up and I'm on the phone calling 911 about to say, hey, somebody stabbed or bleeding. Nobody got shot or stabbed. There's no one to call in. Okay, it was a fight. But like if someone's just getting the crap beat out of them and it's like they're going to get hurt.
I just don't like personally someone getting knocked out. Now, if it's a good scrap, well, I'm right there in the middle watching it, but not live. I'm just talking about when people post.
I don't
even know how I got off on that topic. See,
we were talking about the social media aspect,
sports, man.
So much.
I even said in baseball, go ahead and hit the batter
rush the mound,
so the batter can rush the mound, and we can see some
You'd
combat
probably
sports.
see like 2 or 3 intentionals. They'd be at their pregame coach going, all right, guys, the network powers that be would love to see. Morello, I'm talking to you. We'd love to see a couple beams. So, Morello, in like inning 2 and inning 5, could you beam one? Just beat them good. Let them rush the mound.
That's going to happen. Hey, but there's some big things locally here in boxing. I want to say Madera's own Brian Lua is back in the gym. There's been a fight date that is offered to him. Whether the fight is taken or not, I don't know. I don't know the facts. That's just what I've been hearing. I know he's back in the gym. First of all, congratulations to Brian Lua himself because he was nursing an injury. He's ready to go, and he's boxing and working out at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. And also on the 209, who's now moved to Las Vegas, I don't know the facts, but a big congratulations to Team Flores, Gabriel Flores Sr. and Gabriel Flores Jr. They signed a deal. I don't know, like I said, I don't know all the facts. I won't comment on it. All I want to say is congratulations, big move, power move. And like his dad always says, man, we're making moves over here. So I want to say congratulations to Gabriel Flores and also Brian Lua to see him back in the gym, man.
Nice.
Oh, it is
the local scene is going to be one of the things that's going to matter. Like when the UFC
when we say local because they're close to us, but these guys are fight at a national level. You know, Gabriel Flores, I mean, undefeated, man, 20-0. I mean, the kid's undefeated, man. And just, you know, his career is about to just take a huge step in the mainstream. I wish I can say more. I just will not when I don't have all the facts in front of me.
See, for when we were doing MMA back in the day, we used to have a saying as far as like how Central California became like a hub.
Yeah.
It used to be called locally grown, globally blown up. You know what I mean? Like you start local, and you just grow. Like you have guys that are they're fighting here. Next thing you know, they're on pay-per-view. And you're like, wow, how the hell that happened? You know, because time flies so fast. You spend a whole year fighting.
An opportunity. They capitalized on the opportunity that was given to them.
Exactly. And you have to. So many guys will be offered fights, or it doesn't even have to be a huge fight, but like, let's say you're just offered some fight. You should treat that fight like if you win this fight, you're going to the UFC. Yeah. You're going to the show. Why? Because it could be a farm level circuit show.
That was always the scene at Tachi Palace. Yeah. You win this big fight, you're getting the call. I've seen it happen over and over again.
Because on so many random times, you'd have Reed Harris or Reed and Scott. Scott Adams, Reed Harris. They'd walk backstage and say, "Hey guys, just heads up. Chuck and Dana are sitting out front row tonight. So anybody that was having thoughts about having a lazy fight, you better get rid of those because." Yeah. Big man's outside. He's going to notice a good fight. He's going to be here for the whole card. He's going to take notes. So those were random abilities. So you should treat each fight like it's go to the UFC because he may see your fight and be like, hey, dude, hey, find out who that kid is. Does he have a manager? Get their number or whatever. Let's talk to him.
Speaking of the conversation that we had off the air, I mean, this door is now open. It's paved the way. Anybody needs to get their ass to Spotify now. They signed the Giant. The Giant has arrived.
Yeah,
and
they've changed.
There's gonna be a lot of followers after that.
They've changed the demographic. Well, their viewership numbers are obviously going to jump, but they've changed the media platforms in which you can now springboard your show, your brand, your concept off of, and have a wider audience now to reach. Before, where it was just music. I mean, really, Spotify was just kind of restricted. Not restricted, but it was really just utilized for music. Now it's like, now it's going to be this. Now it's going to be another podcast. Then it's
Well, tell us who the Giant is that signed the deal, man.
Who? Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan.
The king, the man. That guy is a beast, dude.
Himself,
like,
man.
he's been doing so much for so long. Because first it was just the comedy.
Can you imagine if he was on the show? He'd be saying, "Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah.
Just all loose, just to see what you got. Just relax."
Oh, he'd probably say something funny. I remember when I met Joe backstage at one of my fights. I tried to talk him into doing a UFC Fear Factor. I was like,
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah,
you told me about that at the radio show back in the day.
And he was like, okay. He's like, I'll make you a deal. You win, I promise you we'll get on it. If we do it, you'll get on it. I promise you. Yeah, I didn't win. But it was still a fun idea because even then he was like, yeah, no, I'm super tired of doing Fear Factor, but it would be fun to do something specific, like have a specific group of people, not just random tards where it's just like, they think they're doing entertainment on TV when it's just like, you're just being a dum-dum.
Yeah.
Get people that people will watch from other genres. They wanted to draw in other markets to that show market to try to revitalize
Well, I tell you what, you know when we're gonna snatch him? Because you know he always goes on tour.
December or something?
He always goes on tour stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Always. I don't care. We got to wait at the freaking airport.
He's coming to Save Mart in like December or something,
then
right?
we'll have him stop by studio.
Because I saw that and I was thinking the same thing is I know he's coming as it gets
I've
closer.
never asked you to pull that card. I'm gonna try. Cole, I've never ever said, hey, dude, pull that card. One time I did say, man, that'd be cool if somebody can call Big Al, man. I mean, because he broke his leg. If someone knew Anderson Silva, and that's all I said. Next day, he gets a call from Anderson Silva. I go, get on, Cole.
Yeah. So as we get closer, I got to look up the date on Save Mart's website and see what the date is. I'd say about a month out, I'm going to start heavily hitting him up on like social media, a couple other things, and go, hey,
there you go,
Joe. We don't even have. He doesn't have to be in.
Let's promote the show. Let's promote his concert or just whatever he wants to talk about.
Yeah, it could be. Let's get him on and talk about the show. Tell us some cool stories of your experience with you because you've been backstage. Yeah. For so many different things is what we can ask him. So there's a lot of potential there. So anybody watching, anybody listening that knows Joe a little better, up the food chain than some of these promoters are, have them get in touch with me so I can start the ball rolling on that. Like I just need a direction to get a hold of them. So I'll start pulling some strings.
The Bible says, call things as if they're not as if they are. And I believe the Bible and, why not us?
I imagine everyone's going to try to grab him while he'll be in town. But we'll have the edge because we're right in his market and be like, we're an MMA show.
Anybody can grab him. It's what do you do with him once you have him? That's the difference, Cole. That's a big difference there.
Very bold statement.
It's a very bold
What would you
statement.
do with Joe Rogan if you grabbed him?
Oh, physically or on the show? If I kick my ass, that's what he does.
You just reached out and said, you got to grab him, and it's what you do with him after you grab him.
He's not having that.
You make eye contact.
No, yeah. Look him right in the grill. Just tell him that. Right when he's eating something, right?
Tell me you love me, Joe.
No, yeah. Whisper something to me. No, not gonna happen.
I just don't want to do it too far out because then I'm afraid it won't matter and it'll just get lost in the ether. But a month before the show when they really start promoting it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd love to have Joe on. We do it from the hotel room where we stay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing.
But by then, dude, we could probably have him in studio if everything's back to semi-breezy at that point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the big plan, man. So what's the big plan with UFC? Are they jumping down to Arizona?
I don't think they're going to jump.
Dana White loves to be challenged. He loves the word no. You can't do it. He just loves it. And then personally, he'll just go against the grain.
Yeah, and realistically, he proved that to be the case. Anybody who doubts that he's not that type of businessman, I don't know what guy they're watching because he was willing to. He had a show in Brazil. Yeah. His next step was to hold a show in California at the Tachi. Yeah. They were greenlit until the day after they announced it.
That call from, I believe, was Disney.
Disney, yeah. Bob Iger. Bob Iger, the man at the top, said, look, at the end of the day, ESPN's a distributor. We own ESPN.
Yeah.
We don't think it'll look good. And they all came to the
Yeah.
appropriate decision. They made a business decision. It wasn't my personal belief. It wasn't Bob going, well, I feel. No, it was Bob going, this is what I feel is the best decision for our brand.
Right now.
As a whole, we need to have our spot in the sand, so to speak. What side of it are we on? We're going to be on this side because it leaves us no chance for risk. We can choose this route and be risk-free. No one's going to risk getting sick. Or we can gamble and say, yeah, let it go ahead. It's got our brand on it.
Yeah.
And then fucking 20 people get sick. So they made a business decision. But the show in California would have been nice. But I don't think he was told, I can't. I think they sat down with Dana and said, hey, look, here's where we're coming at it from. This is our stance. We'd love it if you'd play ball with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus making it a
Looking
deal.
at the big picture.
Yeah, and that's what they said. They said, just do us a favor, look at the big picture first. And Dana understands brand, marketing. You do something stupid back in the day, dude, Dana was on your ass, especially if you were on like The Ultimate Fighter. Because he's like, what are you doing, dude? You're carrying our brand on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be a dummy.
Exactly.
They've got a little different now because now it's just a
And
marketing
I'm
company.
glad you said that. Big brand or little brand, at the end of the day, it's a brand,
It's
and
a
you're
brand.
repping the brand. It's not you, it's the brand.
You could be a little brand on TV for the wrong reason. That's
I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah,
man.
that's a scary thought.
I'll leave that one alone. But nevertheless, it feels good to have our own brand, our own voice, and just to take the steps necessary that we need to take. And if we're able to touch lives on the most powerful people in the world, man, it's just a matter of time until we get our shit together and get out there, man.
True and
I mean,
agreed.
that's real talk.
Yeah, they're roadblocks. They're mental roadblocks
Yeah,
that
there
everybody's
is.
encountering right now. Well, they're
There is.
physical roadblocks of the stay-at-home place, but they're mental roadblocks that people are running into as far as how do I keep progressing myself as a person, mentally, work-wise, things like that. But to answer your question, I don't think they're going to jump ship, so to speak, even though they said if Vegas won't allow it, Arizona we'll go. So I know is the second they can have fights in Vegas at like the
absolutely.
Apex Center or something,
Well,
the UFC will do it because that is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
That's where they do it from. So I don't know because the gate won't really make too much of a difference. But I hear all these places are taking reservations. The Win, they're taking reservations. MGMs are doing reservations. All these places are doing reservations. Come like mid-June, like they expect to have patrons in a restricted banner.
Top Rank announced that Shakur Stevenson is going to be the main event taking place in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be in June.
Audience, I
Yeah,
imagine.
exactly. So, I mean, the doors are going to be open, and we'll see what happens. When I say the doors open for the boxers only. Now, a lot can happen between now and then because Dana White made the same announcement. It all depends on who's who. And you got people that want to make power moves for no reason, as if to say, hey, I'm here for this. And, there could be some speed bumps, but Bob Arum, the man that he is, and been in this sport forever, I mean, when he makes a statement, it usually stands.
It's got a ripple effect, because
absolutely.
people will adjust their course to fit what Bob was saying. They're like, wait, okay, well, let's do it this way, because if Bob said it, it's because he's thought about it, and he has more experience than any of us to come to that conclusion. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes down. I think that...
With no audience.
Well, now here's the thing. Remember, this is Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas can be told no audience. What Vegas isn't being told is you can reutilize your sportsing book event. You can reutilize your poker room.
Yeah.
You can sit, if you have tables that fit 9 players and it's a poker table, spread them out a little farther, remove some, sit 4 or 5 at a table, paid rooms to watch the pay-per-view on a big screen, projector, something. You can't be in the arena, but maybe there might be a way around for casino to utilize space that's not being used to encourage viewership.
Here's the thing. Who said it was in a casino?
Well, those are the places.
Top Rank has a gym there.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it would still be hard to get any fans
I know.
inside that. But
no, I know, absolutely.
But to hold the fights at a casino,
it has to be a little bit of press and the sanctioning bodies that need to be there, and everybody in precaution that needs to be there. Overkill as far as the medics and stuff.
High grade tablets or high grade cameras positioned on each corner of the ring. No audience, just like they're doing it in Florida and stuff. No audience. $25, $45. Click the Zoom, click the link. Live stream.
Well, Bob Arum, I did say this. He said, you know what? These pay-per-view prices are too high. He said, we need to come down. And he said those words, and those other promoters are like, dude, are you really serious right now?
Well, think of the overhead that's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I appreciate what Bob Arum's doing.
He's making it affordable to, like, let's say you want to watch.
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah.
All your friends are busy. Bro, I don't want to pay $69.99 by myself to be the only one watching. No. I'll pay $25 to enjoy the fights and watch by myself. I'll gladly do that. Now, there's a lot of people that will do that. Plus, they can lower it. And still, they sat down. Bob sat down and said, how can we still make money but charge less? Well, we're not using overhead first off because we're not having to take care of the vendor spaces, the seating fans, the security, the parking, all this other stuff that goes along with running a boxing event doesn't exist because there's no fans to be there. Yeah. So your overhead's way low down. You can charge less. You can stream it on an inexpensive service. So.
Well, I mean, they're all going to be with events. The Eddie Hearns, Al Haymans, the De La Hoyas, and Bob Arum. I mean, they're the big heads in boxing. They're going to make it happen. It's just a matter of time. And us as fans, until then, we got to be patient. And the fighters, they got to be smart and take what's in front of them. Of course, everybody loves the crowd. They play out the crowd, man.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say so much tell a fan take what they can for now. I would say, please be patient with what we can offer you at this time. We're trying to build the content, but please be patient. We can only offer you this at this time. Versus telling them, look, just wait, bro.
Exactly.
Like, we'll give it to you when we give it to you. No, it's just bear with us. We're trying to get you content as fast as possible.
And so are we. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that's it for our show this evening. I want to let you know about tomorrow. We have Janet Uribe, and we're keeping it all women month of May this month. And, we had Callie Swanson, all women month of Mayweather month. Okay, we'll throw that in there. But no, we'll be coming back tomorrow with Janet Uribe. She's going to join the Fighter's Voice, recording artist. Beautiful woman, very talented woman. She sings in front of the masses. She has the honor and privilege of singing the national anthem, both in English or in Spanish, for all the boxing fans in the whole world to listen to and see, man.
And that's nice, too, because someone like her could probably still utilize her position within the industry while they're doing the whole no audience thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. She's making it happen, man. Hey, do we have anything before we step out?
Overeem got another win, guys. Expect more content from the UFC. Like Dana White said, we're going to do a show every week if possible. And he's not lying. With the idea of Arizona opening up, guys, expect more content. You're not going to see a pay-per-view every week, but you're going to get a fight night. Like we had a fight night on a Wednesday. Yeah. Right? It was a Wednesday night, and then we had one on Saturday. Like, they're going to start, they were both in Jacksonville, but they're going to start rolling them out.
That's the way to do it.
The healthier you could say. So like I said, guys, if you're a fighter and you're waiting for fights, keep waiting, but stay training.
There you go. Hey, and before you go, I should have brought this up, but we're going to go, and I'm going to leave you hanging on this. So that means you got to get your ass back here tomorrow. I'm hearing Joe Soto from Porterville. It says, hey, I'm making a comeback. I'm on my way. I'm going to lose 30 pounds, get back in the cage, and like my nickname says, knock mofos out.
I saw that. He posted something about that on Facebook.
Yes, he did. And it started, we need to get him on next month.
I would watch Joe fight.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Joe brings it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for viewing in. I want to thank our guest, the powerful woman, the most powerful woman in boxing, Callie Swanson, president of Swanson Communications, the publicist of Floyd Money Mayweather. Fresno, California, as always, it's a wrap here. Thumbs up for Richie.
Never down for the count. It's just another wrap. Thanks for listening to the Fighter's Voice Radio Show. Catch us again next week. Same when, same how. And always stay connected to the Fighter's Voice on social media. So, on behalf of special guests and the whole crew right here at the Fighter's Voice Radio Show, saying see ya next week, right here on the Fighter's Voice.